My name is Owen Christensen, and I will be presenting the life story of John Arthur Christensen. John was the third child of three. His parents were Oscar Christian Christensen and Catherine Elizabeth Christensen. John was born in Ringsted, Iowa, which is a small town with a population of around 420 people. His brother is Sam and his sister is Peg. When John was younger, he loved to be a waiter or do whatever job was needed for the cafe that his parents owned in Ringsted. At school, John loved to learn history. In his high school years, John was very good at baseball and basketball. He played for the Ringsted Great Danes. During John's senior year, he had injured his hernia and missed half of his basketball season. The Cold War was happening during the time John was in high school. He also says that he would not have changed a single thing in his life. John could relate his teenage self to his grandchildren because they are good risk takers and they have good people skills. As John went off to college, his brother went off to the army. John had attended the University of Iowa. John later ended up joining the military himself. He was active for 3 years and inactive for another 3 years. As he was in college, he worked for an insurance agency called INA Insurance. There he helped people with car, home, and business insurance. After that, John had worked at a canning factory in the life, health, and property insurance agencies. John had won some awards throughout his career of working at different insurance agencies. Later on in life, John loved to go to dance parties. John was just on his way to pick up some friends from a nursing school when he ran into Mary, his future wife. John and Mary have enjoyed every moment of their company since. They then moved into a house in Springfield, Illinois. The house they moved into cost around $21,000. John and Mary bought a 52 Dodge for about $2,000 next. They spent their honeymoon in Mason City, Iowa, and Tennessee. Since then, they have lived in Cedar Rapids and Independence, which is where they still live today. John says, in order to have a perfect marriage, you have to give some and take some. At the wedding, they danced and partied, doing some of the biggest dances of the decade, the twist, the jitterbug, and the polka. John and Mary then had three children. Joe was their oldest son. He was born in 1965. Tony was their next child they had. He was born in 1967. After Joe and Tony came Dan, who was born in 1970. The last child to join the family was Holly, who was born in 1971. One funny memory he remembered of his children growing up was when Dan and Joe would be together, and Joe would randomly say, Dan, Dad wants you. You're in trouble. This was just a trick, and when Dan went to John, John would just be confused because Dan wasn't in trouble at all. Another funny moment in John's life was when he would go to the pool with the family. Joe, Dan, and Tony would tell Holly that they were going to sell her at the pool. Now, today, John loves being with family. Every year, every member of the family that could make it always met up at Okoboji. John says that his grandchildren remind him of himself because they speak their own minds and they aren't afraid to try something new. John has also gone on other big trips. When his children were younger, John went to the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean, the Black Hills, Colorado, Kansas City, and Chicago. John and Mary continue the tradition of having all the family over every Christmas and Thanksgiving. He is the president of many organizations today. John loves to collect globes and he loves to travel. After all of his experiences in life, John wouldn't change a thing. John's favorite song is I've Got You Under My Skin by Frank Sinatra. One of his favorite quotes is always follow through. Love you, Grandpa, and thank you.